So Netbook has a new Deathflix movie coming out in August. A teaser dropped and everyone is understandably While there's not much to go off of, my impression is that it looks average, sandblasted of personality and uniqueness as to be pleasing to everyone, therefore exciting no one. Looks like Light stole Misa's bleach. Why does Elle look like he wants to be Daredevil's sidekick? The music in the teaser is like... I realize this negative take is about as fresh as an unearthed corpse, so rather than nitpick, for now, let's talk about how we got here and why Death Note is up on the execution block that is the American film remake of anime properties. I'm Muffin Monkeys, and let me tell you about the Netflix Death Note teaser. If you need a channel under 1K subs to tell you what Death Note is, you're watching the wrong video. The one you're looking for is right here. Even if you're not on that anime grind, Death Note is appreciably awesome. Reportedly, Hollywood has been trying to put a Death Note movie together since the late 2000s, with studios everywhere grappling for it. Warner Brothers got the project moving in pre-production, then put it in turnaround. What that means is they deemed the film no longer financially viable and offered it up to somebody else. Basically, the filmmaking equivalent of a divorcee saying, "It's your problem now!" Alright, admittedly, that was in bad taste. And we're not even to the whitewashing yet. So anyway, Netflix bought the project in 2015, added some actors, and freaking Willem Dafoe! Adam Wingard directed, and Jeremy Slater wrote the final draft of the script, presumably picking up from where Charlie and Vlas Parlapanides from the Warner Brothers days left off. Let's unpack all that for a moment, because it makes some of what I'm going to talk about have greater context and ramifications. Why did Warner Brothers hit the brakes? We gotta hop back a year or so for that one. Batfleck vs. Jesus underperformed and was praised as much as a dog who pissed on the sofa. That was the proverbial cherry on the shoddy shake for Warner Brothers blockbusters at the time. Suffering loss after loss, I imagine Warner Brothers wanted to narrow focus and funds on reliable bank. That ended up paying off with Lego, not so much with Suicide Squad.
Really bad.
It still made money, but so does Candy Corn, which I think was only slightly less well received on opening weekend. Focus on your strengths, my brothers. Someone has to keep comic fans perpetually angry. Might as well own it. And if that means you toss an unfun Death Note movie over to a platform that has less to lose and tends to be more auteur-driven, for better or worse, yay for all of us.
Yay, fun.
Avoiding a potential DC cinematic universe version of Death Note feels like dodging a protein-swilling bullet. Oh, you laugh, but I have in my possession Warner Brothers' version of Ryuk. Unacceptable.
It's time to meet the creative team!
Wingard directed the new Blair Witch and You're Next, which I've heard are alright, if not particularly impressive, like your grandfather's Arrowhead collection. Nothing to me says aptly suited to write a detective thriller from the Parlapanides line of work. Maybe they're fans, but more cynically, they were probably cheap. Then there is Jeremy Slater, whose writing work includes such knockouts, as in you inoculate yourself to escape into the sweet embrace of sleep, as The Lazarus Effect, a film no one liked, unbelievably the worst Fantastic Four movie, though in his defense, his version of the script largely didn't make it to the screen, and Pet, a movie I've never heard of that apparently had Dominic Monaghan and made $70 domestic. 70. I'd pay $70 to look at Dominic Monaghan for an hour. And yes, I know has that Exorcist series people seem to like, but considering one of the lauded strengths of Death Note is its writing, final third of the series notwithstanding.
I'm almost 15 years old. It's time I started living my own life.
Okay. This lineup doesn't exactly Nutella my toast. Maybe it's just me, but I've never thought of Death Note as horror. It's unsettling and graphic, but more of a gothic detective work, with mind games, clever ploys, and a supernatural weapon at the core. Said weapon exists in the plot primarily to make protagonist Light Yagami's quest to reshape the world through his crime believably sway people to fear and revere his work as that of the Justicar god Light fashions himself to become. Also, the covert and omnipotent power of the Death Note makes Light near impossible to catch or reasonably convict. And therein lies the fun, the intrigue, the questions of morality.
I am justice.
Wingard and Slater have a clear horror specialization. The horrific aesthetic of Death Note is in service to the growing god complex of the protagonist and the frightening power Light wields. Shinigami are just vinaigrette. Doubling down on horror as your central conceit with the creative team might muddy the water, though I'm inclined to admit a shift in genre focus could lend new light to the property. But the way the dominoes are aligned,
This world is rotting.
I'm not optimistic. And let's not forget, Death Note was already proven to be better suited for TV than film by the Japanese. The heck? Yeah, I'm sure the slow boil stratagems this series is known for will be equally as captivating done in 10% of the time. Come on, be real. These were garbage. You know, at one point, Shane Black was going to direct this. Wouldn't that have been something? Netflix reportedly dropped a cool 40 to 50 million for Death Note, and who knows what Warner Brothers burned, apparently. But why the interest? Why Death Note? Well, the nerds rule the entertainment industry, for one thing, so it's easy to see now why anime is getting the Hollywood treatment. That is, being bent over a park bench and slit open for every drop of precious brand recognition blood. I'm sure I don't need to explain this to most of you, but again, for those who may have just come back from my recommendation, Death Note began as a very successful manga and then got an anime adaptation that took the story different places while being faithful. It was an immediate classic, and here in the West, what we like to call a gateway anime. My personal definition of that being an anime generally perceived as being exceptional, so much so that it entices new viewers to lose their lives.
What did you say?
Most gateway anime, but not necessarily all, have a world or story not steeped too deep in Japanese culture. There tends to be a decent dub available,
What's cooking?
Kill the dough!
and is typically aimed at older audiences, or as a shonen jump fighter. Examples, bam bada bing boom. With less of a cultural barrier, Death Note's reputation has been that as a great first step into a larger world. As for Death Note being live action, its visual design isn't so outrageous, at least by anime standards, that it would look like a crappy cosplay shoot. Save for the Shinigami, Death Note's world visually translates well into our reality. With CGI and practical effects technology, we're reaching the point where games and comics and anime adaptations don't have to look like the original X-Men trilogy. I mean, say what you will about Warcraft, its problems weren't the character designs. So it's popular, ingestible to a wide audience, and no one's shooting expensive costing lasers. Believe it or not, heart attacks are cheap to film.
What's going on?
He's faking it.
Despite all that, Death Note has a number of barriers a creative team would have to surmount to keep overreaching studios off the kill switch. So just how widespread was Death Note that a studio would take a chance on it? And why did Netflix, of anyone, take up the banner from Warner Brothers? Hollywood is piss scared of anything but guaranteed returns these days. Not that it's wrong to want to make money at your job, but decisions made to make niche entertainment marketable to everyone have historically kneecapped the production. Save for maybe Edge of Tomorrow, that's Live Die Repeat if you're some kind of revisionist, which was an adaptation of the Japanese novel All You Need Is Kill in the same way The Revenant is an adaptation of Winnie the Pooh, that is to say, barely. Netflix has been working the mature targeted nerd material lately, and I think Death Note holds a special place in Netflix history. Prior to being added on Netflix and Hulu in 2014 or so, the only avenues to catch Death Note were increasingly late runs on Cartoon Network, DVD sales, and websites for
Dirty stream pirate scum!
Death Note was dubbed by Viz Media. They got their own streaming service in 2012. I can't say whether Death Note was available on that service at the time, but I can't imagine it not being. Landing on the mainstream streaming circuit 2 years later meant more people who otherwise might not have even heard of Death Note had easy access, and longtime fans didn't have to drop cash on hard copies. If memory serves, particularly for Netflix, Death Note was among some of the earliest anime entries the service offered. It being available to newcomers and now within easier grasp of longtime fans, I don't think it's unreasonable to say it helped open the floodgates, so much so that Netflix proudly stamps its anime exclusives and even produces its own animated content. After researching for this video, I'm firm in the view that this movie looks like it will suck more butt than a vacuum on Uranus. But I don't know if quality is going to matter so much in the long run. Think about it. Going in just out of curiosity, or to see the inevitable train wreck, or fuel some righteous indignation about the casting, it all adds up to views. More views and public outcry means when they take a crack at this again with, I don't know, Yuri on Ice, they'll know there is an audience for live-action anime movies, and might have their ears shouted into enough to get that making an American adaptation doesn't mean making everybody white and maybe a black guy. Maybe Hulu takes notice of public outcry and counters with an ethnically accurate One Piece. Lord knows the rubber actors have been getting the shaft over the years. Or Hollywood makes its own Attack on Titan movie. Now, calm down. The characters are 99% white in Attack on Titan. But why'd you cast Rooney Mara as Mikasa?
The Japanese didn't cast white people.
The Chinese like white people.
Why do you hate white people?
What was that?
Hollywood's
Acting stupid again.
Everyone wants what they love to be taken seriously, even by people who otherwise wouldn't give a damn. And then once people know it has value, we turn around and say, "We saw it first, loser!" We want this to be good because it affirms a part of what we enjoy has value in the eyes of a public who more than likely don't give a damn, so neither should we. For what it's worth, Wingard has helmed or been a part of interesting stuff. Casting a seasoned horror veteran to direct Death Note feels like missing the forest for the trees, but I doubt anyone expected Sam Raimi and Spider-Man to be a perfect match. Alright, this has gone on long enough. The film drops August 25th, and until the next trailer or public statement that will no doubt start this cycle of speculation anew, we've got this minute of content to jump to preemptive conclusions on. Maybe when it's out, we'll all re-adjourn here. Till then, have a happy